Throughout this podcast, you may hear a few names of the students and mentors we work with. We have permission from everyone who we mention.
What's your favorite cereal?
My favorite cereal? I feel like this is an expected answer. Honey Bunches of Oats.
I eat oatmeal every day. What's your favorite cereal?
Okay, good morning. This is the Benchmark Podcast. This is our first episode. We're going to take this episode to introduce ourselves, talk about Benchmark a little bit. But to just introduce myself, my name is Witt. I'm a student at Franklin and Marshall College in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm a double major in music and government, and I started working at Benchmark in February as an intern.
My name is Nate Levice. As of right now, I'm the student service coordinator, and I'm going to hack for psychology.
My name's Tevon, and I work at Benchmark. I've been there since January of 2020, and I'm not in school, but I'm planning on going in the fall.
Just want to ask you guys really quickly how you guys kind of what path you took to get to Benchmark. Just if you guys could talk about that a little bit.
Before I was a student service coordinator, I was a part of Benchmark in 2015. Will did a presentation at a school I went to, a behavioral school, Phoenix Academy, and that's kind of like how I got started and how I got involved in it. What you want me to tell you, like the things I was doing before that?
Yeah. If you want to.
All right. Stuff I was getting into before that was kind of like, to me it's like regular stuff for I think everybody that I was around kind of did it, so it kind of became like normalized. It was like the norm for us, but selling drugs, in and out of jail, stuff like that, house arrest, a bunch of fines and court costs that I'm still paying off, and I'm 23. But I went to, Will did a presentation in 2015 at my school, and at first I wasn't sure about it because what he was pitching was that he literally just wanted us to be successful, and where I come from is more or less like you don't do anything without somebody expecting something in return, and there was no fee to come to the gym, there was no nothing, so it was a little different, right? So started going to the gym, seen him down there. I was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I wanted to change, but I really wasn't sure about the change. I felt like change is uncomfortable, and I didn't like being uncomfortable. I like doing what I was already normalized, so I like doing that. I ended up getting shot in 2018, 2019. I'm not really sure when I got shot, but I got shot. Bullet was stuck in my L2 in my lower spine. I lost 4 liters of blood, and I was in the hospital, and I was just, I knew it was time for a change. So I hit Will up, and I told him hey bro, this just happened, what's up? So he was like, listen, he was going to a mission trip in Honduras. So he said when he comes back, he's gonna come meet me. And, at that point in time, I was like, it's kind of over with. I don't think, I felt like I kind of lost my chance. But sure enough, when he came back from Honduras, he came to my house. I don't know how he found out where I lived, but he came to my house. Maybe I told him. He came to my house though, and from there on, we just started working together. He helped me get my Social Security card and stuff like that, my identification. He helped me get my driver's license. He helped me get multiple jobs that I quit because I wasn't used to working a 9 to 5, and the money was $200 every 2 weeks, versus I was making that in an hour. He helped me really shift my perspective and more or less think long term and not short term. So got me into reading books and just educating myself and becoming who I am today.
And we'll probably dive in more about that when we unpack the dynamic between students and then people that come in mentors or staff members, because I'm sure, as you said, the changing is hard overall. Yeah. But yeah, Tevon, how did you end up at Benchmark?
I just my family and them, they come from that the streets and all that. I just kind of realized at a young age that really wasn't for me. So I kind of just did my own thing and stayed on tried to stay on the right path as much as I could. Still got into a little bit of trouble, but I ended up graduating high school. I was a barber for like 8 months. I got tired of it. So I got tired of it. I'm like, all right, like it's time to find something like that I like. And I was looking at different jobs. I was going to work somewhere else, but Nate came to me and was like, yeah, Benchmark's hiring. So I was like, all right, well, let's give it a shot. So and then I came here. I was there for like a month, just kind of like seeing how everything worked. I liked it, and they said I could work there. So since then, it was January 2020 that I was there. And then after that, I'm like, all right, well, I like it here. I'm staying here, and everybody been I decided really to stay because everybody just be pushing you to do better things. Like now I'm about to go to school and everything. So
yeah, kind of how I found out about it. There was like so F&M, they do like this alumni spotlight thing, and Will was one of the people, and he was just talking about like the program, and I knew that I wanted to like work for a mentorship program. But it was just hard because I felt like the kids that I was working with, although like, yes, it was good to be working with those kids, that my skills weren't being used to like the best of their ability. But also I really liked the fitness component of it because I felt like that was something that like, was really like left out of a lot of things. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds of like a fitness component, but also a mentorship program tied together. But also the like group of kids that like we work with, I feel like they're like never really given a chance. Reached out to him, asked if I could intern. He said to come check it out, and then it was kind of like a earning the internship of like coming down, seeing if I really like meshed and like fit with the community there. But yeah, so that being our like stories and stuff like that, what would you say like makes like Benchmark different than other programs in like kind of the area, but then also like just in terms of like what we're doing, being like a mentorship program?
we don't really give up on the kids, and we're there really for like their whole lives, wherever they really need us, and whenever they could leave for a whole year or two and then come back, and it's still the same like vibe, and wherever they need help with, we're there for them. So really just bringing that family aspect and family environment, and just sticking with them and consistently like through their lives, whatever it is that they pretty much need.
Yeah, I think what makes Benchmark different and unique is that family feel that we give down there, and then the fact that you can't mess up in our eyes. Like you make mistakes, whatever it is, we it's always open doors, open arms. You're always welcome back. Like I said, like I was halfway in, halfway out, wasn't sure about the change completely, and I got shot, and Will wasn't like, oh, all right, you got shot, bro, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
Like that is really scary. Nah, he worked with me every day. We met at Chestnut Hill Cafe. Shout out to Chestnut Hill Cafe.
So kind of going off of that and his like approach to like, even though like you texted him and he were like, hey, like I just got shot, and then him not like being like, what just happened? But kind of like answering that and just being like, okay, how can I help?
Yeah.
What like from your guys' experiences, interacting with like the people at Benchmark, because it's like a wide variety of people, how difficult would you say the process is to kind of make that change? And especially when there's like people coming up to you, and like a majority of them are like have like successful jobs, successful lives, and they come to you and they're like, hey, I want to help you. And you're like, who are you?
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about like the difficulty like with that from a student perspective, but then Tevon also with like you watching the kids like interact with different people like that?
I think more or less like it's hard to just jump in and then like try to just go right to a kid and tell them like, I want to help you, I want to do all this stuff for you. I don't think anybody kind of like receives, like nobody really wants that, right? Really, more or less what it's all about is just really consistency, and then showing the kid you're listening and you hear him. You don't have to understand, especially if you didn't grow up like that. You don't have to get it. You don't have to understand because you didn't go through what he went through. And everybody goes through things and feels differently about how they went through it, right? So you don't have to understand, but the fact that you're just taking the time out of your day to listen to him and make that kid feel heard, that's when that relationship really starts to build, and then you start to see that change, and the kid trusts you more, so he's more willing to change.
You like make sure they understand you're here to help, and you're not here just to like be in and out of their lives, because a lot of kids is kind of used to that, like people in and out, and like a lot of that like inconsistency. So just showing that you're really there and present.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's crazy, right? Because I talk to some kids and stuff like that, and I used to do this too. When I meet somebody, I'm like counting down, like when you're gonna leave, right? I'm like this person's gonna leave my life eventually, and that's because most of these kids that we like talk to and we help, and like myself, we don't have nothing that's like Tevon saying, that consistency. We don't have that foundation where like you feel like somebody's gonna stay and somebody cares. A lot of times, like, kids are going through it with their parents. So if they, they thinking, their way of thinking is like, if my mom and dad like aren't there for me, what makes me think this stranger's gonna be there for me? So it's like that.
Yeah. I want to talk about our interactions with each other when we kind of first met, because I feel like
hey, bro.
I feel like when like these problems that we'll talk about today, but then also like throughout the rest of the podcast, like other podcasts, there's still problems that are consistent that take place. So then the idea of consistency is like a commitment to life, basically, of working through these things. But also I also want to talk about the dynamic of me looking the way that I am, white, straight, male, with glasses, coming into Benchmark, and then you guys being like, who is this guy with the rolled up jeans? Like,
yeah, my boy had rolled up jeans on, bro.
Why is he here, and how is he gonna help me?
Yeah.
Just from your perspective.
Yeah, I think I think for our, from my side, it's kind of like how you describe how the kids feel like in those situations. I was like, all right, a lot of people come through Benchmark and they'd be like, all right, well, I can't connect with anybody, so I'm out. So like a lot of times I kind of after a while ended up giving you like talking to you and really seeing that you really do a lot of like.
I said you actually wanted to give him a chance.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Seen him putting that work in.
That's really what it was.
Yeah.
Seeing that you really doing like what you gotta do, and I really decided, all right, like this guy really he wants to stick around. So he's showing that he want to be like helping these kids and everything. So that's really what it was, and just.
But initially, when you met me, what was your first thought?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, he'll be out of here in like a week or two.
Yo,
Right?
only just like because like I said, a lot of people come through and it's like, all right, I didn't make a connection with any of the kids, so like, what am I here for? And they be like, all right, like I give up, kind of. So
I'd have been willing to bet on it. It was gonna last a week. I think when you came in, I was like, oh man, another one. Coming down there is like a little intimidating for some people. Music's super loud. All eyes are on you because you look really different and out of place. So that's like the feel that we made down there, where it's like that's the type of community it is. So new people that come in, it's like somebody coming to your house. It's like, what are you doing here? So it's like, but then like Tevon said, once we figured you out and see how valuable you were to our team and how much work you were willing to put in, and you got the same work ethic as us, which is we try to outwork everyone. We knew like, all right, he's perfect for this. And then building that bridge between you and the kids, and then you actually willing to do the footwork, and it just took off from there. But yeah, first initial thought was, bro got about 2-3 days,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, it takes a long time to build those relationships with those kids. So it's like, people think that they're going to come down there and all these kids is just going to be like, help me, help me, help me, help me. But you find out that kids are like, I really don't want to talk to you, bro. Like, so then you got to break down that wall, and then, it takes a long time. People want like instant, like, I'm coming down here, I'm mentoring, I'm doing such a good job. But it's not like that, though. It takes a long time. So that's why I feel like a lot of people come down there and think that, and then they get turned off because kids not coming up to you, talking to you. You got to initiate the conversation.
Yeah, being down there is really something that, like, I feel like we could tell you kind of like how to do stuff, but I feel like it comes down to really like you got it or you like don't really, because like you got that in you that's like you're going to talk to people and you're really going to see like what you can do to help. So a lot of people just expect, like they said, expect people to come and talk to you, or bro, like where we come from, it's not like, of course, like not everybody's gonna be friendly, bro. So you kind of just real cautious with things, and you want to see how everybody acts before you really go into it. So you just showing up and being like, taking that step forward and really showing that you really want to be there. They were all right. That's why a lot of kids started gravitating to you and really want to talk to you, because it's like, all right, like he really here and he really want to help. So
yeah, and I would say from like my perspective coming down, like I went and I remember I opened the door to the gym and I saw Will and he was like, and he shook my hand, and then I walked in and I felt almost out of place. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then I remember I met you first, and then I started talking with you, went and got Johnny, and me and Johnny wrote goals together.
Yeah,
and it was fine.
I paired you up with the one of
Yeah.
the kids that went through SLP, went through everything, and I was like, and I remember Johnny was like, why I gotta do it? I was just like, I was like, bro, it's his first day down here. I was like, just make him feel like, like he made a connection today. Like,
Yeah.
like,
And that's exactly what I felt like. But then looking back on it, I was like, because like I went and started coming more, and I was like, oh, Johnny is the easiest person to talk to. But I think from my perspective, like walking in, like obviously everyone has like their like traumas a little bit, but me coming in, I was like, oh, I'm like the first choice that I had to make was deciding to understand that I'm not going to understand a lot that happens on here, because like you would go and you would talk about your life, and I just had to sit there and be like, okay, that happened. That's not going to change my opinion on Nate. It's not going to change how I view him. I'm going to view him about what takes place in like the present, and then taking that step by step. But then I would still like go to my friends at school and I'd be like, guys,
yo, I know this dude.
Guess what happened today? And like stuff like that still happens. But I think like from my perspective, coming in and almost being like an outsider, it was like there's the first choice of understanding that I won't understand everything that happens. But then the second thing was the choice of I can't quit on these kids because so many people have already. But even like that being a daily choice, and I think that is like very applicable to even like life and not necessarily just benchmark.
I think like touching on that, what you said, I can't quit on these kids because that's what drives it. I think people like the reward is like, all right, we get paid for this, and I think that it's amazing that we get paid to do this stuff, right? It's wild. But the biggest reward is when you see kids and you see them changing, or you see how they talk and how they go about things is changing. Like that's the biggest reward. You actually see the growth, and you're like, wow, this is crazy. And then you look back and then you remind them sometimes that, like, yo, remember when you used to be like this? And they're like, yeah, that was crazy, right? I don't ever want to go back there again. So then, that's the reward though.
I want to like take this from Benchmark itself and kind of apply it to everyday life of like, you going through and like you running in or talking to someone or meeting someone that like looks like me or is from like my past, which is like suburban America. Like two parents, went to school. The goal was always college, like focusing on getting the SAT prep book, like stereotype. But kind of like how you guys have changed in that process from your perspective on how you interact with people on a daily basis, not just with people at Benchmark.
Will put this in my head where it's like, I'm going to come across people and everyone knows something that I don't know. So I want to figure out what you know that I don't and then run with that. I like to pick people's brains and like see where they're at and then take, I can always take something from somebody, right? We're always growing, we're always learning. I'm definitely not the smartest, but I'm smarter than Tevon. So, what?
No, go ahead.
I'm in college. Say nah, but yeah, just like, I don't know. So using that outside of Benchmark is just helps me like get to know people, ask questions and have conversation with people where before it was just like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't ask me a question, don't ask me for directions. because I always felt it was a waste of time.
Yeah.
But
When I go and I interact with someone, I don't know what's going on in their life. I think that that's something that people really miss out on, is like they'll go and let's say like someone's really rude to them. And then like your initial thought is, why are they being rude? Like there's no reason to be rude. But it's like interacting kids at like benchmarking and like hearing like what they go through, and they just come in and they like don't want to deal with anyone. And you ask them like, hey, are you okay? And they're like, oh, well, like this person just died in my family, or like this just happened. And you're like, dang, I wouldn't want to talk to anybody either.
so we get a lot of kids that come down there and just want to go punch the bag for a little bit, just to blow some steam off, you know. Even adults, like somebody came down yesterday and just wanted to punch the bag.
Technically, when it comes to that like relationship and making that relationship with them, they want that to work out. They really do. There's a small part of them that wants that to like work out and everything, but there's so much of them that's not letting them want that because they don't want to get hurt. So like just knowing those things, but definitely encouraging like people to come down, because like if I can do it and like other people can do it, that live way different lives than the kids that we work with.
There's certain things that like Tevon said it earlier, like some people have it, some people don't. We definitely encourage everybody to come down and do it, but understand that like benchmark isn't just like I'm a pop in once a month thing. Like no one will ever talk to you then.
And then kind of like the final thing is just taking those life lessons, even if like you don't necessarily like people don't necessarily come down to benchmark, but taking those life lessons of like from like both two different worlds. So like obviously Nate, you and I have we had very different life paths to get to this point, but kind of understanding the other side and understanding that, or like at least for me, understanding that I'm not going to understand everything that you did, because to me that was like it's like bad stuff. No, don't do that. That's gonna like stop you from like going to school and stuff like that. But then from like your perspective, like you just being like, okay, people that I talk to, they'll know something that I don't know. Even if it's something like they're talking about it and you're like, I don't agree with that. Yeah. But now you know that you don't agree with that because you just talked to them.
Yeah, bro. Open mind. We had my kids read an article on that, and having that fixed mindset is going to, put a cap on you eventually. Having that growth mindset and just trying to understand everything and, being open to new things and stuff like that. That's kind of what I want to do.
Sweet. That's it.
What's your favorite cereal?
My favorite cereal? I feel like this is an expected answer. Honey Bunches of Oats.
I eat oatmeal every day. What's your favorite cereal?
Apple Jacks.
Bro.
Fire, bro.
It's disgusting.
Nate, what's your favorite cereal?
Yours?
Yeah.
I don't like cereal.